Hello everyone, it's UnsungNPC back here with another Pillars of Eternity class video for you today. It's been a while since I've been able to do one of these due to various things going on this summer, but we're here. Alright, today we're going to be focusing on the priest class. I actually quite like this class. You do have to worship a deity. You do have dispositions that are favored, just like the paladin does. But that's kind of the same thing for any priest, cleric, whatever, in any game. It's the same in Pathfinder. It's the same in, in D&D type stuff. You don't have to worry about alignment changes in like Baldur's Gate 3 or anything. You just have to worship the deity. But in Pathfinder, your alignment definitely matters. So here we are. Okay. Endurance low, health very low, accuracy very low, deflection low. So don't put them anywhere near other enemies. That seems like it would be a bad idea. So keep them away from everyone. That's the goal here. There's a priest companion you get. I use him all the time, and he just dies super fast. So they are not frontline people in this game, so don't do it. +2 lore, +1 to athletics, and their starting ability is an ability called Holy Radiance, which generates a modest amount of endurance for all the allies in the area of effect, and the power of this ability shifts on your reputation of disposition. So just like the paladin's defenses ability, this ability will become stronger or weaker depending on your disposition aligning with your god's favored and disfavored dispositions. So let's hop in. Okay. So here we have Holy Radiance. It's a friendly AoE, gives endurance to everyone. It's also a foe AoE, which does burn damage to everyone, and then vessels, enemies that are classified as vessels can become frightened. Vessels are like, if you find like a haunted automaton type thing, that's a vessel. If you find like zombies, those are vessels. That's what a vessel is. A vessel is basically something without its own soul or spirit, essentially. So that's what that is. Okay. So there are lots of things that change how certain things work in this game. So we're going to try to kind of go through these bit by bit here. Okay? So let's look at, if you worship Magrin, the goddess of war and fire, all right, you get Inspired Flame, which the faithful of Magrin gain an accuracy bonus with sword and arquebus, and can cast a special version of Burst of the Summer Flame. So there's Burst of the Summer Flame. You get to cast your own special version of it. So it does burn damage versus enemy's reflex, and then you gain accuracy with the sword and arquebus, which are Magrin's people invented guns. So that's kind of why the arquebus gets a bonus there, right? Okay. So this modifies grants Inspired Flame, grants lesser Burst of the Summer Flame. Okay, cool. We're gonna take a look at Eothas. Eothas grants Hopes Eternal. You choose a friendly target, and friendly target gets -10 defense against frightened attacks, -10 defense against terrified attacks, +15 endurance. So the faithful of Eothas gain an accuracy bonus with the flail and morning star, so just mace type weapons, and can cast a healing spell that shortens the frightened and terrified durations. Okay, so it's not supposed to be This is another typo situation in this strat book. By the way, if you also bought the version of Pillars that gave you this strat guide, there's so many typos, so many misorderings of things. It's pretty poorly written in a lot of aspects. But this decreases the time for frightened and terrified durations, does not decrease your defense against those kinds of attacks. Alright. Next we have incomprehensible revelation. If you worship the deity Whale, Whale is kind of like Whale or Wile, however you pronounce it, kind of like the deity of mysteries, curiosities, conspiracies, secrets, things like that. The faithful of Whale gain an accuracy bonus with the quarterstaff and rod, and the rod is like a magical implement. And can cast a special version of Archimede's Dazzling Lights. So you get lesser Archimede's Dazzling Lights and incomprehensible revelation. So AoE minus 10 will dazed for 6 seconds. So this is like an AoE on an enemy. So you will make them dazed and decrease their will, which is a pretty cool ability, actually. It pairs very well with any crowd control characters you might have. So very cool. There's the Pallid Hand, which is if you worship Bareth, who is the god or goddess of death. Bareth has two entities, the Pallid Knight and the Usher. Is it the Usher? I think that's what it is. But there's two entities of Bareth, basically. The Faithful of Bareth gains accuracy bonus with the Mace and Greatsword, and can cast a special version of Council Hot's Corrosive Siphon. So they get lesser Council Hot's Corrosive Siphon once per rest as a spell-like ability, and they have an AoE that drains corrode damage as endurance. We're back. Here's what's happening. The effects on these listed spells is telling you what the effect of the spell is. So lesser Archimede's Dazzling Lights decreases will and makes characters dazed. Lesser Council Hot's Corrosive Siphon drains and does corrosive damage to enemies and grants you endurance over 10 seconds versus fortitude. Okay? Where is it? Lesser Burst of the Summer Flame does AoE burn damage. Alright? So those are things that those spells do specifically, not the ability itself. So next we have Prey on the Weak, which is if you worship Skane, who is kind of like the deity of like slaves and suffering and revenge, and you know, he's the god for people who are put down by oppression and they want to like take vengeance on the people who have oppressed them. I love Skane. I think Skane's a really cool deity. I would worship Skane if the disposition for him wasn't just being a terrible person. But Faithful of Skane gain an accuracy bonus with the stiletto and club weapons, and gain a lesser version of Rogue's sneak attack. So you'll do 1.2 times damage on people when you get the sneak attack instead of the normal damage that a rogue would get, which is pretty cool. Okay. Next we have these abilities that modify Holy Radiance and Interdiction. So first let's go over Interdiction. Interdiction is an AoE on enemies where you daze them. So it condemns the priest's foes, dazing any enemies in the area of effect. Okay? There's different versions of it that you can choose or add on to it that modifies what your interdiction does. So painful interdiction, what it does, priests are able to channel their fury through interdiction, adding a painful, weakening affliction to the attack. So it also weakens your enemy. Empowered interdiction increases the accuracy of your interdiction ability. So it makes it to where your interdiction is more likely to hit. Is there another one? So those are for interdiction. Okay, for Holy Radiance, you've got Aggrandizing Radiance. Allies gain less healing from the priest's Holy Radiance, but the priest gains a bonus to all attributes and movement. So it's kind of a priest benefit, more of a deficit to your team kind of ability. Brilliant Radiance, enemies take burn damage from the priest's Holy Radiance. So they take a lot more burn damage, which is cool. Inspiring Radiance, all allies gain an accuracy bonus. This one's an amazing one to take, especially if you have a lot of like ranged characters. It's very, very nice to just give everyone a good old accuracy buff. And I mean, you can use Holy Radiance once per encounter, so it's like a good buff that you have for a good while. And then there's Untroubled Faith. The priest's ability to inspire becomes more than just a sum of his or her actions. This negates reputations that negatively influence Holy Radiance. So if your Holy Radiance is being influenced because your character's disposition doesn't align with your deity, then you can take this and negate that, but it takes up a use of one of your talent points. So you have to decide what's worth it to you. But these are like the priest talents. It's pretty much Holy Radiance, Interdiction, things that modify those, and then things that you get, passives that you get from your deity, basically. But then we get to move on to spells. But before we move on to spells, I want to go over the deity's dispositions. Alright. So Bareth likes stoic and rational, and doesn't like passionate or cruel. Eothis, which is not bolded for some reason, but it's right here, likes benevolent and honest, and dislikes cruel and deceptive. Magrin likes aggressive and clever, dislikes diplomatic and passionate. Skane likes deceptive and cruel, dislikes benevolent and aggressive. And then Whale likes deceptive and clever, and dislikes rational and honest. So think about these dispositions when you decide what deity you want to play. There's a lot of people who like to play deities for their powers and don't really care about the roleplay aspect, and I think that you're really taking the fun out of the game for you, because when playing a role-playing game, roleplay is like a big part of that. So I think it's more fun to roleplay with the kind of priest that you are, especially since there are dialogues for these different deities, and dialogues, especially in Pillars of Eternity 2, there's a lot more dialogues depending on who you worship. So might be worth looking into. Okay, spells work the same way that a druid does. You have all of your spells, and then a number of times you can use a spell in a given spell level, and you can choose from all of them every single time. So we are going to go over those spells and figure out what they do. Level 1, we have Restore Minor Endurance, a nice, light, friendly AoE that heals you. Armor of Faith is a awesome spell. It gives everyone your friendly AoE +4 damage reduction, which is pretty cool. Also, the priest also gains those, like, the ability to use spells once per encounter on top of your spell slots. So you'll gain that ability at a certain level and start gaining that for each spell level up to a certain point. So Armor of Fate is one that I love to take as a once per encounter ability because I tend to use it a lot. But there are lots of other ones that are also great in here, like Withdraw is a good one, Blessing's a good one, so let's go over what these are. There's Prayer Against Fear, which gives everyone in the AoE defense against frightened attacks and terrified attacks, which is super awesome. Blessing gives everyone accuracy and bonus damage. Barbs of Condemnation punishes a target for their sins, decreases deflection, fortitude, and reflex. So all of your defenses except will. Holy Meditation gives everyone concentration and increased will, so stops you from being interrupted if that's becoming a big problem. Withdraw, basically you pick a friendly target, including yourself if you want, and it puts you in a shield that takes you out of combat, basically. No one can hit you, and you heal for a bit during that time, which is pretty cool. It's a very useful spell. Very, very useful. Can really save a lot of people if you need to. We also have Divine Terror, which frightens everyone in an AoE. And then we have Halt, which causes a single target to be stuck to where they can't move. They can't attack if you get next to them, but they can't move. It's not paralyzed, it's stuck. Level 2, Instill Doubt, a foe AoE that dazes targets. Holy Power is a friendly aura that gives everyone might and resolve, which is insane. Those are good things to have. Prayer Against Infirmity. Friendly AoE gives everyone defense against sickened, defense against weakened attacks. So that's great. Consecrated Ground is the one I always do a spell mastery thing for. Because it's a friendly AoE centered around the priest that just just kind of like gives a healing pulse every now and then for a long time. So it lasts like 20 seconds. So I like that a lot. It's a lot of healing pulses. Repulsing Seal is a hazard AoE, causes targets to become prone. Very useful. Iconic Projection does freeze damage in a creates a slow-moving energetic projection of the priest's faith, returning endurance to allies and inflicting freeze damage to enemies. So it does like an AoE line where it heals allies and inflicts freezing to enemies. Suppress Affliction causes hostile effects to be suspended for 15 seconds, which is great. Divine Mark marks a target, which gives them burn damage and lowers their deflection. Super useful ability. And then Restoring Light Endurance is another friendly AoE that's a little bit better than the last one from level 1. So this one's just like the level 2 version, right? Level 3, Pillar of Faith. This one's a fun one. You smack down a pillar from the heavens on someone and causes them to take crush damage and also fall prone. That's a super fun ability. I don't know. It's useful to knock down a dude prone every now and then. It's not an AoE prone though, but it is kind of fun to just see a giant pillar just and then you're knocked down. Super fun. Dire Blessing converts 20% of hits to crits. That's ridiculous. It's a lot of conversion. Really good. We have Restore Moderate Endurance, which is just the level 3 heal. Prayer Against Restraint, which gives you defense against being hobbled and being stuck. So stuff that stops your movement. So very good. Despondent Blows gives everything. Nagging Doubt in the face of Unbreakable Faith consumes enemies, lowering their melee accuracy and critical hit range. So 50% of their crits are converted back to hits, and they lose melee accuracy. So that's a really good ability. If you're kind of like swarmed by enemies that are doing lots of damage, that'd be a good one to do. Circle of Protection is the one that I do once per encounter for every single time. It's a plus 15 to all defenses for everyone in the AoE. You really can't go wrong with that spell. It's just super, super useful. Watchful Presence. Friendly AoE gives endurance when endurance below 20%. So bless allies with the aid of a sympathetic soul. So everyone in the AoE, if they go down below 20% endurance, they will be healed. Very cool preventative heal there. Warding Seal. It's a hazard AoE that does shock damage to the enemies. When the enemy... Oh, so it's like a seal. So the seals you put on the ground, and when they step on them, the damage occurs. Or like the repulsion seal, the prone effect occurs. Okay. Wait a second. Hello. Oh, level 4. Down here. My bad. Searing Seal. Another seal that does burn damage and also blinds them. That's useful. Blinding is great. Blinding and prone and paralyzing are like my 3 favorite debuffs in this game. in any game, really. Devotions for the Faithful. It's a foe AoE that decreases their might, decreases melee accuracy, decreases ranged accuracy. Oh, okay. And then your allies gain bonuses to those things as well. So allies gain bonuses to those, and foes gain less of those. That's pretty sweet. Prayer against Bewilderment. It's an AoE against Dazed and Confused. Makes sense. Triumph of the Crusaders. It's a friendly AoE where they basically just get immediately healed per kill, which is insane. So if you have like a group where a lot of people are doing damage instead of like other things, that could be a nice one to do, because then everyone's just going to get healed constantly, which is very cool. Barring Death's Door. You use it on a friendly target and it prevents their death. They can still be knocked out, but they won't like die and then get injured or whatever, which is cool. We've got the level 5 or level 4 heal here, restore major endurance. Shining Beacon conjures an intensely luminous beacon of light, causing enemies to take a penalty to all defenses and accrue burn damage. Shining Beacon's great. For level 4 abilities once per encounter, it's hard to say. I feel like Devotions of the Faithful would be a really good one, but I could also see how you would just want to use the seals as well. So, level 5. Prayer Against Imprisonment. This one's great. This one I like to do defense against, or mastery for, because it does defense against paralyzed and petrified. And paralyzing is like the worst thing that can happen to you. And it can happen a lot, so you gotta be careful of it. Shields for the Faithful's another good one. It gives lots of deflection to everyone in the AoE, which is just like 25 deflection for everyone, which is crazy. Champion's Boon. So you give one ally, you choose a target, and they get might, perception, and damage reduction. So that one's a good one if you have like a good damage dealer. Don't use it on your tank, because your tank's not here to deal damage, right? It'd be good to use it on like a good rogue or a ranger or someone who's actually going to need to get hits and do lots of damage. So Salvation of Time increases the duration of active beneficial effects. That could be another really good one to do mastery for if you have it in tandem with like a wizard or druid or someone else who has like beneficial effects going on. So that could be really cool. Revive the Fallen's a good one to do mastery for, because it's a friendly AoE revive. So like if you have a lot of dead companions in a group, you can use that and then it heals all of them back up, which is just insane. Like a group revive at only level 5 spells. That's incredible. And we have Pillar of Holy Fire, which is like the other pillar, except instead of making people prone and doing crush damage, it just burns everyone. Does burn damage. So, and then we have our level 5 heal, Restore Critical Endurance. Okay, level 6, Prayer Against Treachery. This one's important. Defense against Charmed, defense against Dominated. Those things can happen to you. They will happen to you. Defenses against them are great. Please use this. Do not forget that this exists. Minor Intercession grants endurance and -5 duration to all hostile effects. Crowns for the Faithful grants everyone perception and intellect and a lot of resolve. Holy cow. Yeah. That's a big one. That's a good one if you have a lot of like casters and stuff in your group. Ooh, Spark the Souls. I love this spell. It's an ally AoE. You give everyone shock aura, and then when people hit them or are near them, they take shock damage, and it does it for everyone, which is fantastic. I love this spell. And then Cleansing Flame hurls a ball of holy fire at the enemy that purges its protections and speeds its doom. Does continuous burn damage, accelerates the timer for all beneficial effects on the target. So makes them hurry up. And then, yeah, leaps up to 2 other nearby enemies. That's insane too. That's crazy. Okay, so now we go to the White March spells. So first, from White March 1, we have the introduction of level 7 spells, which grants you Minor Avatar. This spell's insane. You get more melee damage, more rain damage, might, dex, con, perception, resolve, and intellect, and plus 40 max endurance. And this is for your priest. You use it on your priest, and you get all of these bonuses, and you just become like a wrecking machine. So that's a really fun one. Resurrection, great one. You just revive them completely, and it also heals those nearby, which is cool. So that one's a great one. Storm of Holy Fire, I love this spell. It does a lot of burn damage in an AoE. I use it all the time. It's a great one. And then now on White March 2, we have a level 6 spell first, Litany Against Major Afflictions. So immunity to Charm, Terrified, Stunned, Petrified, Paralyzed, Dominated, and Weakened. So an immunity to those on a single target. That'd be a good one to use on like your tank or your priest itself if you feel like your priest is in danger. So very good one. Watchful Guardian. Friendly AoE. Wait a second. Is that not in here already? Or is that a lesser version? Yeah, okay, so this one is Watchful Presence. This is a better version, Watchful Guardian, which is a level 8 spell and just does even more. Oh, it also revives. Okay, so revives and gives a bunch of endurance on unconscious. Very cool. The Hand of Woe, Wheel and Woe. Foe target gets burn damage. Friendly targets get healed in the beam. So it's a beam, and you target enemies that take damage, and then anyone in the beam takes damage, but any of your people in the beam get healed. So you can kind of like run around with it, and then just heal and hurt everyone, which is pretty fun. And then next we have these symbols. The symbols are different based on your deity. So the symbol of Barath does corrosion and weakens. Symbol of Aethys does burn and gives friendly AoEs defenses. Symbol of Magrin burns and blinds. Symbol of Andra does crush and friendly AoE. Everyone gets damage reduction. Symbol of Skane, foe AoE. Okay, damage, and then they're hobbled. Symbol of Whale does freeze and gives everyone defenses against charmed, confused, and dominated. And then symbol of Wodica does slash and gives everyone accuracy. These are not specific to your deity. Anyone can take any of these. You can use these, I believe. I'm pretty sure. Because Wodica and Andra are not worshipable deities, so you can still use these. Or maybe it's your deity and then Wodica and Andra are options. I don't know how exactly these work, but if you take a look. Okay, so it says Priest of Skane only. So if we take a look at Andra, Priest of Andra, combat only. Okay. Priest of Andra. Hello. And Wodica. Priest of Wodica. Okay. I know what's going on here. The priests of Andra and... No, there's no priest of Andra. I don't know why that's a thing. In Deadfire, you can be a priest of Wodica. In Pillars of Eternity 1, it's just these. So I don't know how you can use those. I don't know what the point of them is. Because you can't be a priest of either of those things. So, I don't know. But there you go. This is the priest, everyone. The priest. It's a very nice support. It's actually useful, unlike the clerics in some games. So you definitely need one in your party. I highly recommend it. If not the companion, be a priest yourself, what have you. The priest is a really, really good class in this game. If you are playing a priest, be mindful of those dispositions and your role play and how you want to play that out. But it's a pretty cool class, so totally recommend it. And yeah, I'm UnsungNPC. Thanks for watching. Whether you're new or a veteran to me or to the Pillars of Eternity games or CRPGs in general, I hope you found this video useful to you. We have the Ranger coming up next, so get excited for that one. And yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one.